Welcome to a Forsaken review.
Allow me to give you a quick synopsis of what Forsaken is for the fellows who have been struck by a meteor, been in a coma for the past month, and just decided to hop on Roblox and YouTube for some reason. Holy shit. Forsaken is a 1v8 asymmetrical survival horror game instead of Dead by Daylight or Identity V, where you're tasked with doing generators to lower the time. Once the time is down to 0, you win, but this is a survivor. When you're a killer, you're tasked with killing the survivors. Killing increases the timer when you finish them off one by one, till there are no remaining survivors left. The cast of the game are a mix of OCs in reference to Roblox past and culture and history and media and all that fun stuff. Now that that's been discussed, done, dusted, blah 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 blah, let's go over to the game, which I will split into multiple segments in order for people to skip around if you want, but please, I beg of you, watch the video. I will cry. Now that that's over, let's go into the cast of the game. Which, the cast of the game is like your average 3-year class, diverse and fucking homosexual. So there's a little something for everyone. There are 3 classes in the game: Sentinel, Support, and Survivalist. Sentinel being the majority of the survivors, and are typically the best with distracting the killer, stunning them, and defending others, helping them run away. And even in the class, there's a good amount of variety, with close range and far range stunners, and even one that has a second life. These people typically have the most health out of the crew, meaning they have most survivability, and can typically hold their own. And then we have the most useful out of the classes, which is a support class. These specialize in healing others, slowing down the killer, and mitigating damage for the team. This class is also the most difficult to play out of the few, but are the most rewarding, giving us cash and XP out of the other non-support cast. Finally, the bitch-ass motherfuckers, Survivalists. They specialize in being bitches. They don't have a means of supporting the team, and instead have the best mobility out of all the classes, allowing them to run away and get out of the heat much easier. Now, on the other side, the killers are more like an average Congress meeting. No diversity at all. They have mainly 2 categories as I see it: Ooga Booga Caveman 7-1 and Chase, which would be Cool Kid and Jason, and the killers we have to think and calculate and get in the sick and twisted, fucked up mind that is a killer in order to play. This being John Doe and 1X, having terrible chasing, and instead rely on their abilities to pick up for it. John Doe using their spikes to trap and finish off survivors, and 1X using their winter attacks to kill off survivors. Now, Killer is definitely one of the most fun to play out of the 2 sides in my opinion, having to 1v8 the lobby, who can also fight back and use their own abilities to fight you, such as Shaletsky, who can pull out a fucking sword. Why the hell are we giving people swords, Spectre? What the fuck? But you know, whatever. It's fun and stressful at the same time. My favorite part is that if you fail, it's completely on you. For the most part, the game's killers are relatively bug-free, with the range attacks for the most part not being subjected to the YBA curse of range attacks randomly launching in directions sponsored by fucking NASA or whatever, going to space. There is a pretty surprising amount of strategy even with just your sprint, as it's a balance out of trying to keep your stamina on the positives while also chasing down the survivor, as it can be really easy to let them slip from your grasp if you don't manage your stamina properly and even run out, as there's a 2-second regen delay upon having your stamina completely drained. Granted, the stress of it's lessened because killers have better stamina regen, and overall speed, but you still can't go balls out and sprint into someone head first like you're a dinosaur, or my homie after fumbling his third bad bitch this week and trying to get my asshole. It's also extremely rewarding to play killer, as landing your specials, killing, and winning all give you a good amount of money and XP, so it never feels like it isn't worth it or is a drag to grind for killer milestones. Including, when you reach milestone 4, you get a reward, $1,250 per character you get the milestone on. It's also really easy to grind for killer chances. Each time you complete a generator puzzle, you get +1 malice, so if you really want to get killer, just rush the generators. The sound design on the killer's end is also very good, with footsteps being easily traceable and the sound cues very distinct and unique for each survivor, making information easily digestible and understandable. For example, if a alien decided to use their speed buff, and I hear the speed coil sound effect, I understand they used their speed. So now I'm gonna sit there and walk towards them rather than run, because I know it's useless to chase after them at that moment. Stuff like this is very helpful and useful to killers and survivors alike, and is something that I really appreciate. And that's just one way Forsaken does it better. And that's it for killers. Let's go on to Survivor. Pretty much unavoidably, you'll spend most of your time as a survivor. It's even an option to exclusively play it in the menu where you can toggle off being a hunter. So as the majority of the gameplay, the expectations to be fun/good is high. And honestly, for what it's worth, it delivers a fun cast of characters that all feel fun to play, except Dusakar. Fuck Dusakar. The first thing I've noticed was the sound design and how it works very well with survivors. The killers all having very clear sound cues on their abilities telling you exactly what they're doing. 1x being the best example of this, as their attacks both have really distinct sound cues telling you to get out the way. In the same sense, generators also make a lot of noise telling you where they are and if they're done or not. Survivors get fed a lot of information through sound cues, and personally it's something I place a lot of value on. And in general, gameplay as Survivor, sorry, I had to stretch there. Oh, my back. In general, gameplay as Survivor is also pretty fun. Puzzles are randomly generated, so it isn't a mindless task. And you have to actually focus on the task at hand, rather than Dead by Daylight or Identity V, where it's a mindless generator with a bit of focus on the skill checks. Granted, I think the reason for that system is so you can focus on locating the killer while also doing the task, but I think for Forsaken this works really well, as survivors take more hits to take down and have way more chances to heal and fight back against the killer than just a dingy ass flashlight. So getting a free hit from a survivor focusing too hard on the puzzle isn't a bad thing. I will say, balancing in survivors do seem out of whack, especially since you can have multiple of the same character on a team, and since all characters can pretty much carry their own, it leads to some crazy matches. Also, just the balancing can be pretty off sometimes, with 007 and Guest 1377 being both really weak in their own class, as Guest has a stun that's locked behind a block, already making him bottom the list of Sentinels in my opinion, with no self-heal, and options for supporting his team without his stun basically being nothing except very niche cases with the charge. It's the same with 007, where compared to Noob, he's the weakest survivalist out of the two, and by a large margin. With the best thing about him being the cool GUI, as any killer would have a neuron will not get tricked by the clone. Cool GUI is strong, but it has its plethora of issues, where it's very slow to start up and is cancelable, which both are understandable in its own right. It's just his other abilities suck so much ass that he relies on this super heavily. It just isn't infinite blocks of cola and infinite skin strong. And I don't want power creep. I don't want him to get buffed to Noob's level. I just kind of wish either Noob would die down a little bit, or they'd rework 007 to be a bit better. It doesn't get rid of all the good about playing Survivor though. It's extremely fun to be in the chases, especially having the manager cinema on said chases along with stuns and dodging around the map, hazards, and obstacles. God damn, I got something in my throat. Ugh. This must be COVID. That's not real.
I didn't miss in post, but I do just want to say that I do believe in COVID. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just thought it'd be funny. I'm new, so I gotta make sure people understand where I stand. I am not one of those MAGA conservatives. Fuck y'all.
Along with that, all the abilities in the game are fun and feel really nice to use. Never feel like it's not my fault when I miss an ability, as it's all pretty responsive and easy to aim. Maps are also really cool in this game, with them being referenced to roguelikes media and pretty faithful from what I see. The best example I have is Brandon's Place, as I love the ARG ever since I found it out from Toasted Cherries. And a side note is, I did tear up when talking to the Brandon NPC in the lobby because how hard it hit me, but that's besides the point. The maps are really good, with obstacles that can slow down both the killer and survivor, some even applying stats effects such as bleed, poison, or slowness, which can make or break your chases depending on who falls for these obstacles. The only real complaint I've heard other people say is the size of the maps are too big, causing it to be more survivor-sided, as it's easier to avoid the killer and causes them to have to play hide and seek during last man standing. I haven't personally experienced much of this, but it's probably due to me using 1x and John Doe, who both have a method of tracking the survivors, unlike Jason and Cool Kid. And what makes it worse for Cool Kid and Jason players is sometimes the tracking for last man standing just doesn't work if you're too far away. I can't tell you the amount of times where I've been in last man standing and I just don't see anybody, so I have to sit there and walk around a little bit, trying to play chicken with my fucking stamina, seeing where the hell he is. Hey, Forsaken devs, please patch that. That is the most frustrating glitch. I don't care if the game turns to Cyberpunk 2077 after that on release, alright? I just want that one bug to be fixed. It pisses me off so bad. I don't want to have to play hide and seek in this game. And last but not least is the music. I really like the music. It's fucking beautiful. The chase themes are really good. My personal favorite is the Jason Vanity skin based off Butcher Vanity. And it should be playing during this section if I remember and isn't copyrighted. And another great addition is personalized themes of Last Man Standing, depending on who the killer is and survivor is. For example, Creation the Hatred will start playing with a 1X and Shadletsky are the two remaining. There's also one for 007 and Cool Kid, and even two skins between John Doe and Elliot, which is based off Decision Beats. And I think that wraps it up. In conclusion, it's one of my favorite games on Roblox right now, and it's important to me. Honestly, it's very important to me seeing Roblox's media and past being referenced in such a cool and unique way. And I really like it as someone who's been playing Roblox for so long and has really been invested in the history of it and really enjoys looking at it, watching it, and understanding it. Forsaken was such a nice treat for me because I've been so deep in the Roblox trenches for so long, and I'm just so fucking nerdy about this shit, dude. I love it so much. It's generally one of my favorite things ever. Maybe at some point I'll make a detailed video about all the references to old Roblox and, well, not even old Roblox, just Roblox in general, and the intricacies of it, and I'll nerd out about that. But it's generally one of my favorite things ever. And this game, for what it's worth, doesn't have a lot of flaws that I see at least, and it's really good. And so I hope it goes down a beautiful route, and play if you want, and fuck Soul for all the shit that she pulled.